Acting Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke for several hours on a range of topics at his annual press conference with journalists. And of course, many of them focused on the situation in the Middle East, as they often do, but particularly in regards to the events of the last couple of weeks, and particularly in regards to Iran and the situation there with Iran and the US. And he was speaking about aggressive US foreign policy and its aggressive policies leading to a situation in the Middle East where there was growing instability, and that was the circumstances under which Iran shot down the Ukrainian passenger jet, killing 176 people on board. And he said he wasn't seeking to justify that action, but he said that the context needed to be considered. Sergei Lavrov also pointed the finger at European countries who had triggered the dispute mechanism of the Iran nuclear deal, and said that they were coming under a great deal of pressure from the US and that they were bowing to that pressure. So a lot of criticism of the US from Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in his acting position during this government reshuffle. And of course, all of that comes against a backdrop of growing tensions between Russia and the US over the last few years. Particularly, they've been expelling each other's diplomats over a few controversies, and also with the US withdrawing from that key nuclear deal between Russia and the US. And it also comes against the backdrop of one last remaining deal between the two of them on the New START treaty. And this is what Sergei Lavrov had to say about that.
We stand for the extension of the New START treaty without any preconditions. I hope that the Americans hear us, but we haven't got any coherent signals from them.
Well, Sergei Lavrov is very likely to survive the government reshuffle. He has remained foreign minister throughout a couple of other reshuffles over the past couple of presidential terms of President Putin. He's a very close ally of President Putin and a very significant figure in the Russian government. And he is very likely to stay in that post. And under him, for the next 4 years remaining in President Putin's presidential term, Russia's foreign policy is unlikely to change. He's likely to continue seeing out this policy as he sees it, as making putting Russia in a position where it can mediate in a number of world conflicts. Sergei Lavrov says that Russia is a country that can be very neutral and can help resolve a number of conflicts. He says he pointed to their actions in Syria, where, of course, the Russian government has been propping up the government of Bashar al-Assad, but has also been working in creating a dialogue with countries supporting the opposite side in the Syrian conflict. And he's also hoping that something can be achieved of that sort in Libya, where Russia and Turkey are, of course, supporting opposite sides in that conflict. But Sergei Lavrov is very hopeful that Russia can help broker a peace deal. Julia Chapman, CGTN, Moscow.